Greetings, this is Frosty Thundertrod, Telnor Beastmaster of the Sundered Guard. Today I am going to go through the notes and screenshots I took of the AMA on Friday to try to give a shorter, more concise version of it. Phase 1 of Alpha 2 will begin on October 25th. Phase 1 is going to be weekend tests only. Phase 2 is going to begin on December 20th. Phase 2 is going to be weekday tests only, so Phase 1 and Phase 2 are exactly the opposite of each other in terms of timing. Phase 3 is going to start May 1st, and the server is going to be up 24/7. What they're saying now here is, in saying that it's persistent test, is that in general, they won't wipe between tests. So if you come in on the first weekend, you should be able to pick up on the second weekend where you left off. So your characters will only be wiped when necessary. They're not going to be, it's not a scheduled every week wipe. So it's only going to be wiped as necessary, which of course this game is in development and it's always subject to change. Phase 1. We're going to have 55 square kilometers of western and eastern riverlands, a little bit of the Sand Squall Desert, and a little bit of the Vanguard Tropics. There are going to be 5 nodes available up to level 3. Some of the level 4 nodes will be, some of the level 4 node mechanics will be turned on, however. There's going to be 4 service buildings, and the dynamic road leveling will be up. Races will be Vec and Kalar at first, and then Empyrean will be added during Phase 1. 6 archetypes: Tank, Fighter, Mage, Cleric, Ranger, and Bard. At this time, you won't be able to take your secondary archetype to form a true class. You're going to just be playing as the 6 main archetypes with a level cap of 25. Weapons: two-handed sword, one-handed mace, one-handed sword, scepter, wand, longbow, shortbow, spellbook, shields, and focus for offhand. PvP, there will be flagging, lawless zones, corruption system, guild wars, node wars, and caravan PvP systems. Essentially, the 2 partial zones, the Sand Squall Desert and the Vanguard Tropics, are open PvP zones or lawless zones. This is going to be kind of like how it is in Shadowbane. You go out in the world and you can be attacked at any time. Systems and economy, flying, ground and water mounts, caravans, rafts, mail system, player trading, level 25 for artisan professions, as well as your, which is tier 3, as well as level 25 for your adventuring. 15 unique crafting tools, 33 gatherables, surveying, fishing, hunting will be available, processing, crafting, gear enchantments, party and raid markers, chat, guild, party, citizen, and global, item deconstruction repair, and 45 caravan components. 460 unique pieces of gear, node war, Godspike event, 16 unique public events, 149 story-driven quests and commissions, 111 treasure maps, 3 world bosses. I'm guessing there's going to be 1 in each of the 3 zone biomes. Alright, so that ends Phase 1. Phase 2. The Sand Squall Desert. We'll get more of the Sand Squall Desert and the Vanguard Tropics. Maybe the whole biomes instead of just a piece of them like we're going to have in Phase 2. 2 new unique node layouts. 4 levels, so you'll be able to have a fully level 4 node. Additional mayoral commissions, relics, freeholds, additional service buildings, economic election type. 2 new races, the Vrayloon and the Dunair. Plus 1 archetype, the Rogue, will be added in Phase 2. 4 For new weapons, you have dual-wielding daggers, scepters, which they said they had scepters in Phase 1. I don't know if this is like a different version of the scepter or if there's a more advanced version of scepters or if it's just a typo. I'm going to go with just a typo. Two-handed mace, two-handed axe. Systems, you're going to have siege vehicles. No idea what that's going to be beyond trebuchets, maybe ballistas and stuff like that. Tempering, which is the ability to improve your gear. Gems and socketing. Gear ascension, repair kits. Artisanship skill trees. Animal husbandry breeding, which is my primary interest in skill. Party gathering, so this is a ability to have your entire party work together on a massive node instead of everybody harvesting their own single node. Player shops, leaderboards, additional chat system functions, and instanced housing. Content, story arcs for the Riverlands, Sand Squall Desert, treasure maps and dynamic events and story arcs, dynamic world dungeons, so I'm guessing these are randomly spawned dungeons, NBC ambient behavior. That way your NBCs aren't just standing there and waiting for you. They'll actually act like they're doing something in the world. Phase 3, 2 new zones. They're Turquoise Sea and the Anvils. 4 unique node layouts. They'll be able to upgrade to level 5. Military and divine nodes will become active. Atrophy events, policies, node happiness, additional mayoral commissions, additional service buildings. 4 races, the Pyre, Renkai, Nakua, and Telnor. That's finally because that's my race, and the race of the Sundered Guards, the Telnar. +1 archetype, which will be the Summoner. That's my chosen archetype right there. Secondary archetype specialization for Cleric and Tank. So at least the Clerics and the Tanks can start. I don't know if this is going to mean that, if you're a Cleric base, you can only take Tank, Cleric, or Tank as your secondary, or if you can take all 8 as your secondary. I guess we'll see eventually. +2 says +2 weapons, but it lists 3. Orb, one-handed axe, one-handed piercing sword. So I'm guessing that's like small sword. Guild fully functionals, guild freeholds, castle sieges, naval and aquatic mounts, underwater combat, instance content, transmog and dying gear systems, pets, aerial combat, titles, religion, and auction house. So really here it's phase 3, which we actually get most of the systems that I'm really interested in. For castles, we're going to have castles, the Turquoise Sea treasure maps, and dynamic world dungeons for additional content. Alpha 2 keys are going to go back on sale. If you want to get into Wave 1, it costs $120. But you won't be able to join until November 1st, so that means that only if you have a pre-order pack will you be able to participate in the first 2 weekends of Alpha 2. Alpha 2 second wave is $110, and that begins on December 20th, so there's no delay there. And then the same for third wave, it's $100, and then third wave you can start at the beginning. I'm going to tell you truthfully, if I did not have alpha access already, I think all 3 of these are way too expensive. But I do think that has someone who already bought a pre-order pack, with these being at the price that they're at, it makes me feel like that I didn't waste my money buying a pre-order pack. So I'm guessing that's the main reason why they're so expensive. And the other reason is they're going to be, it's kind of a dare. Everybody's been asking for Alpha 2 again, so they're going like, okay, fine, here's Alpha 2, take it or leave it. Because they're giving you what you want specifically, but they're also trying to make sure that all of us who bought pre-order packs don't feel like we're getting cheated. Because if they offered these at more of a fair price, I definitely would feel cheated for how much I paid for my pre-order pack, the vast majority of which is useless junk that I'm probably never actually going to use. These Alpha 2 keys are just Alpha 2. They don't include the beta testing, and they don't include the complete game. Now for the questions. These are the prepared questions. Debug tools. So there's going to be, if you use the /bug, that will give debug tools for you and the developers, as long as well as creating a bug report. Also, page down will give you your coordinates and other debug information. Population over time. At the start of Alpha 2, there's going to be 3 realms in North America and 3 realms in Western Europe. Each of these realms is designed to have 3,000 concurrent players. So that means 9,000 in North America and 9,000 in Europe. They say they do have the ability to pop up more realms at demand, which they might need to, considering there's supposed to be 100,000 testers with Alpha 2 access. And since they're only available on weekends, I imagine these realms are going to get just absolutely hammered, especially the first weekend. Yep, and this is the further question what I just explained, because I kind of answered both these questions together. Testing expectations. Do you want the testers to play the game as they would normally, or would you to find bugs that way, or will you have specific testing for systems and features and the client and so forth? The answer is yes to both. They want you to just play the game normally as you would, and they also want you to test out specific features that. Also, they said that if you find an exploit and you report the exploit, they will give you some leniency in using it. But if you go hog wild on it and you start using it to grief other players, then you still will have action taken against you. How do you intend to comply with the dates that you presented with this roadmap when it's been a challenge for you in the past? And they said basically this is not a hard schedule. These are goals. Everything here is subject to change. This is what they want to do. This is not a commitment to what they're actually going to do. Employment logistics. Given recent layoffs, the gaming industry is attributed to rising development costs and the industry shifts. What are proactive measures that Intrepid Studios are taking to mitigate similar financial pressures, and there are contingency plans in place to avoid workforce reductions while continuing to develop a Ashes creation? All right. At this point, Stephen has said that he has already spent between $85 and $90 million on Ashes of Creation. $30 million of that has come from pre-order packs, and they're still open to selling publishing rights in Ashes Creations to Asia or Eastern Europe or South America, basically anywhere but North America and Western Europe, if they need to raise funds. Basically, he's saying my wallet's big enough to cover it. He also says they only hire people they actually need, and for temporary work positions, like if they only need a few models made and then they no longer need that artist, they hire those out. They contract them out. That way, they're not hiring people just to turn around and lay them off again in a couple of months. Can we get an update of when the character creation tool will be available? When it when does it launch? They got this spelled. I can't give anybody crap about grammar because I'm the worst at it. When does it launch? Presumably ahead of A2 launch. When will we have the option to reserve our will we have the option to reserve our names then? In this case, the Alpha 2 is not going to. The Alpha 2 character creator will not be a standalone version until Phase 3. For Phase 1 and Phase 2, it's integrated into the client. Name reservations won't come until release. What is the expected scope for the node features for the launch of Alpha 2? And what have you scoped out for later development and upgrades? Example, node level, range, social, aesthetics, amount of nodes, node types, superpowers, etc. There are 5 nodes up to level 3. Some level 4 functions have been added. Only KLAR style will be available at first, and only economic and scientific nodes at first. Player corruption. How complete is the player corruption system currently, and what is the predicted timeline of player corruption system development during Alpha 2? The answer to this, it's fully functional, has already, so it's going to be right there at the start. When will we get a dual system implemented for the will we get a dual system implemented for the start of Alpha 2 so we don't have to flag to practice PvP, risking getting corrupted? Dueling comes in Phase 3, but until then you can go out to the lawless zone and practice your PvP out there freely with no consequences. Standout features. As Alpha 2 launches, which features of the systems are you most confident will showcase the game's unique potential, and what aspects do you anticipate will require the most iteration based on player feedback? And he said the nodes. He gave a very long-winded answer, but it was the nodes. World bosses. How many world bosses will you have access to in Alpha 2, and what are some of your favorites? Phase 1 will have 3 world bosses, with 3 more added in Phases 2 and 3. And he said the dragons are his favorite. Artisan professions. Which artisan professions will be available at the start of Alpha 2? Which tier progression will be available for professions? Every profession except for animal husbandry will be available at the start of Alpha 2, and they'll be able to go up to rank 3. Architect updating. Well, the tank and cleric get a bit of a rework to get them on the same level of awesomeness like the ranger, fighter, and bard before Alpha 2 launches. Yes, and mage as well. Now, the way he worded his phrase, I don't necessarily think they're going to be upgraded before Alpha 2, but definitely during Alpha 2. In-game support. Can you talk about general in-game support and support ticket process for Alpha 2? For example, will there be human in-game GMs to assist you with issues? Margaret answered this one, and basically, yes, there will be people available, but limited support in Alpha 2 with full support coming in beta and live. She said that basically they can help you with account and billing issues, but for most in-game issues, that's just a consequence of testing. But as they go into full live, they're going to have people actually on the servers who can help you if you have gameplay issues. How do you guys feel about the practice of crunch? Do you think there is a possibility you would use this practice to get Alpha 2 release over the line? Steven said that he believes in work-life balance, and that crunch is a failure of planning. And he is ashamed to admit that the studio is in a state of crunch right now. and that this is the third time in the course of 7 years that they've been in crunch mode. The current crunch is expected to end in September. I mean, this is a good answer because he's being honest in the fact that nobody wants a crunch, but sometimes you just have to. At the beginning of this project, you said you were aiming for the game to be rated teen. Is this still the goal? The game's going to be rated mature. Actually, in the United States, I do believe that all online games are officially listed as unrated because what other players say in the game and do in the game is completely uncontrollable by the developers. So that will vastly change the ratings of the game. So most in North America, the game will be rated as, unrated. I guess M would be for Europe. Gameplay loop. What is expected to be the primary gameplay loop during Alpha 2? Stephen talked a lot, but he didn't say anything of substance. I could not divine any actual answer to give you to say this is what he thinks the gameplay loop is. Basically, it's going to be get in and do what you want. What guild systems will be in at the start of Alpha 2? You will be able to create, join, promote, and remove members. Phase 2, guild levels and skills will become available. In Phase 3, you'll get the guild freeholds and stuff like that. Once Alpha 2 launches, will the monthly live streams be focused more on what is coming soon to Alpha 2 since we'll already be able to see what is currently available? The live streams are going to change quite a bit. In a lot of ways, they're going to become patch notes and then history. They'll talk about, which node did what, who took which node and stuff like that. At this point, they'd ran out of questions that they had pre-selected, so they took a few that they found in chat. So, questions. Will Alpha 2 become public test rooms? Answer is yes. Will there be some NDA testing on public test rooms? Answer is yes. Question. Will there be level increases in Alpha 2? Answer is yes, Phase 3. Question. Will Monster Coin and Animal Husbandry be available in Alpha 2? Answer. Animal Husbandry will start in Phase 2. No answer was given about Monster Coins. And this is the end of the AMA, and one of my guild members asked me if there are were beavers. I'm sure there are plenty of beavers in game, and you might, if you ask nicely, some of them might even let you mount them. Thank you very much for watching.